I was just about to show you my Wednesday.
I wasn't really interested in that. Good evening, folks. There's a couple of you in already. Hello. We are a week later than normal for the meeting this month because of other events, but we are here. This is April's meeting. Excuse my hair, by the way. I'm desperate for a haircut, and as soon as the missus is able to, I will have this chopped, hopefully, and I'll look a little bit more respectable. I could put my hood up, I suppose. You're used to seeing that, I guess. Especially when it's wet and raining. Hopefully it's not going to rain this week while I'm out on the Lincolnshire Wolds. So anyway, who have we got in? Good evening, Vincent. Good evening, Richard. Good evening, Dave. I'm afraid, Dave, there are no free drinks and snacks here. So unfortunately, you'll have to maybe come along. Either get your own or come along to a meetup at some point where I may have some. So, wet me whistle. Hello, Alice. Hello, Jamie. How's the new car? It's all right, Richard. It's doing its job. It's flying along the motorways as it's supposed to, getting me from A to B, getting me from village to village. The important thing. So, I've got a bit to talk about this week. The agenda doesn't look greatly lengthy, but there's quite a bit to tell you. We'll wait until people are fully in. We've got 11 people in now. Yes, it is a diesel. It is a diesel, which obviously is more expensive than petrol, but it does go further. And I have noticed that compared to the Punto I had before, it does seem to be going a few more miles before I have to fill it up again, which is a good thing. But diesel prices have been coming down of late. Don't know whether you've noticed. Cheapest one round here is the one in Conisbrough. Little trade secret for you. If you fill your car up on the regular and you live around here, get yourself to Conisbrough. That's usually the one that's the cheapest. Cheaper than Morrison's, actually. So that's usually the second cheapest. But yeah. So 16 people in now. We're doing good. What's on the agenda this month, Jamie? Right, so I've got to talk a bit about some new districts that are coming up, some of which I've started, some of which I haven't. And I've got plans all the way up to June because this past week I've had no filming to do, but I've used the time to plan well in advance, very, very far in advance. And I can share with you some of the things that are going to go down in the next couple of months. So, but let's see. The Texaco at Breck seems to be keeping the prices down. Well, they are. Yeah, they are. But I don't pass that one very often, to be honest with you. Usually I head to the A1 to wherever I'm going. It's very rare that I don't. And obviously I pass the Conisbrough one on the way from here. Enjoyed the Rose episode. I live there. When are you doing Ilkley, or have I done it already? Well, the Bradford series has stopped for a little while because it kind of had to, because Bradford's full of big ones, and I can't really film more than sort of two at once because of their size. So I've kind of stopped Bradford for a bit, owing to the fact that I'm only doing 1 day's worth of filming at a time at the moment. I haven't yet done Ilkley, but I will. I will. It might come later this year. It might have to wait one next. I don't know yet. But hopefully it won't be too long because I'm quite excited about Ilkley because it's because Ilkley Moor. I'm planning to stand on Ilkley Moor and start singing that song everyone knows. Just to make sure I've got a hat on at the time. So okay, let's see. That was Victoria that went through the shot just then, the camera shy one. Her boyfriend's here at the moment, so you probably won't see much of it. You might hear her in the background. And there's more likely to see the cat. And there's the cat. There's the cat. Hey. The cat may come say hello. Hi Andy, watched the Eaton episode today. Enjoyed it very much. Never been and always wondered if the place had anything but the college. Oh, it's got plenty. It's got more than just the college. We can definitely affirm that. we can definitely affirm that. I mean, obviously, everyone knows Eaton for the college and the various, shall we say, famous people and dignitaries and things that have attended it. But it's got so much more than that. We didn't even scratch the surface of the college. But we saw the main buildings and the chapel and a few other bits and bobs around it. But if you go sort of where we walked towards the chapel and the main sort of archway entrance that you saw sort of kind of at the beginning, if you turn left there, there's a whole host of other buildings up there, which are all college related. There's even a golf course up there, believe it or not. There was no way we could cover all of the college. It's just too big. It's way too big. And so we opted, obviously, to just focus on the main bit and then head down the high street, across the bridge and the little pool that was underneath it, and check out what else was down there as far as Windsor Bridge, which obviously you could see Windsor Castle from, and then back across the Brockus or Brocus, however you pronounce that. It was a good episode. It was a long walk. It was a very long walk, but it was just brilliant, to be in such a historic place, a place that's got so much prestige. And, members of the royal family have attended that college. It's mind-blowing to think you actually stood in the same place as where members of the royals have actually been. Having said that, I have met a royal before, our current king, when he was Prince Charles. And that was at school, and I can prove that because I have a picture of me with him. It's on our stairs. Yeah, if you want, Victoria, I can show you the photograph. Don't laugh at me because I was in year 10 or 11 at the time, so I probably look a little bit more sort of definitely younger, but I don't know whether I look better. Anyway, oh, here we are. Victoria covering her face. Here is said photo.
Use the handle, taking it back up.
There we are. That's me. There. And there's good old Wingnuts himself. Our current king, Charles III. When he was Prince Charles. A good 20 or so years ago now. More than that. More than 20 years ago. 25 years ago. But, yeah. I remember that like it was yesterday. So, yeah, I have met the current king. A young village idiot, yes. A bit younger than I am now, absolutely. So, I'm guessing Eaton wasn't a mess. No, but I did mention Eaton mess briefly in that episode. It does come from Eaton, and it was invented for a cricket match. It was first served a cricket match between Eaton and I think it was it Harrow? Was it Harrow? Yeah. I did say that in the episode, but obviously I've made other episodes since then, so I can't remember everything. So yeah, Nikki will be potentially being involved in this one, by the way, this week. That's why the chair's here. Don't know how much involvement there'll be, but Nikki's literally just off camera, just there as usual, and might see her later. Right, we've got 24 people in now, so we're probably good enough to get started, I think, on what I want to talk about. So let's get going. So the first thing on the agenda this month is to do with my plans, which run all the way up into June. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, I've planned a lot of stuff this week, having no camera and no filming, and I've kind of gone a little bit overboard, I think. I've probably gone too far, but it's best to be prepared. Always best to be prepared. So I've planned out the rest of the Newark and Sherwood series, all bar 2 episodes. One of them is Southall, the other one is Newark. I still can't fit them in anywhere yet, although having said that, we potentially may have a date for Southall, but I'm waiting on confirmation from Nikki for that one. But other than Newark itself, the rest of the Newark and Sherwood series, I know exactly when that's going to be done. It should be done by the middle of June, possibly early July, depending on where the Newark episode can fit in. But I'm happy with how that looks at the moment because there's plenty of big ones left out there, and it took a while to sort of put it all in place. But yeah, I'm happy with that one. West Lindsey is going well as well, and I've got I think it's 20 of them left to plan. That should be done by the end of the year as I originally planned. Now, I've always said that East Lindsey will start after West Lindsey has finished. Well, that's slightly changed now. And that's all to do with the North East Lincolnshire series, because that's in the same kind of boat as Newark and Sherwood at the moment. It's got, generally speaking, big ones left. There's a couple of little ones, but don't worry about them. And because of that, and only filming one day a week now, I've decided to start East Lindsey a little bit earlier. So this is one of the new districts you'll be seeing in the near-ish future. Not immediately, but you'll be seeing the first couple in East Lindsey in the summer, because I've planned to do 3 of them together with the last couple in North East Lincolnshire on a day coming up very soon, and they'll be out in the summer. Ways, Grainsby and North Thoresby are the 3 in question. And of course, the main series will begin ideally after West Lindsey is finished, but there could well be the odd one here and there as I sort of plan it out further on. And of course, Amber Valley is coming after North East Lincolnshire is finished. Haven't planned anything to do with that yet, but I will be soon, because I now know when the rest of the North East Lincolnshire series is going to be done. So I'll move on to that eventually. But as things stand at the moment, Newark and Sherwood, apart from Newark, is all planned out. North East Lincolnshire is all planned out, every single one, which is good. There's a couple of new districts coming your way, tagged onto York. One of those is Rydale, and you'll be seeing the first 3 episodes of that. The first one coming next week, and the other 2 after that, week after that. It's a good one to do, actually, because it's full of little ones, which means I can film loads in one go. I've done 3 already, and you'll be seeing those soon. Hambleton is another one that's on the sort of outskirts of York, and the first 4 of those are coming soon. Haven't filmed them yet, but I have got a plan sometime in May to do the first 4, along with a couple more in York at the same time, which is a good thing. Obviously, Bradford is still on the back burner, so if you're expecting some more Bradford, it won't come yet, but it will eventually, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But if I change things back up again, yeah. It's pretty much business as usual for the East Riding. I keep planning those and going to them. They're easy to do because they're all quite small. But the big thing I've been planning this week has been the trip that I've mentioned a couple of times before, and that is going to Hunstanton. Now, I'll be going on my own. Original plan was to go with Nikki, but that's now not happening. I'm now going on my own. I'm actually going to do a bit more than just what I originally planned around Hunstanton. I'm going to do 6 around Hunstanton. It's in Norfolk, by the way, if you're not familiar with it. On the way down, I'll be staying in King's Lynn, and I'll be doing 2 in South Holland, which is just over the border into Lincolnshire, and a further 3 in King's Lynn and West Norfolk, which are just over the border into the Norfolk side of the river, which I can't remember the name of. But we'll cover that when we get to it. So in total, when I go to Hunstanton, I'll be doing 5 on the first day and 6 on the second day, so 11 in total. And I'm quite excited because I haven't done anything in Norfolk yet, and nobody really knows me out there. People in Suffolk do, thanks to the couple of East Suffolk videos I've got, but no one in Norfolk knows me at all, so that's going to be good to break a bit of new ground. And yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There's also a very good little Tales from the Village Green I can do as well in King's Lynn. I won't say anything about it yet, because if I do, it'll spoil it. But it's something that's very unique to King's Lynn. You won't find it anywhere else. So on the first day, I will do that as well, and you'll see what that is eventually. So yeah, I've been busy planning all this out. I don't think I've missed anything there. I think I've covered everything I've been planning. I don't think there's anything else. But that takes me filming wise up to the beginning of June or just into June. And considering it's only the start of April now, that's a full 2 months worth of plans. Hoping it all goes to plan, because if it does, fantastic. If not, then things happen. Things happen. So let's see. There's a few new people joined us while I was saying all that. Hello, guys. When am I going to Edwinstowe? Okay, so that's one of the Newark and Sherwood ones that remain. I'll just get my planning board out, Richard, and I will tell you, because even though I've planned it all out, I can't remember everything offhand without my spreadsheet in front of me. It's a very complicated spreadsheet, this, because it has everything on it. So Edwinstowe, assuming everything is as planned, I'll be in Edwinstowe on May the 31st. And that will be done with Bilsthorpe and Rufford and Clipston and King's Clipston as well. So that'll be a good one, because that one's the one that's got the major oak in it. If anyone knows Sherwood Forest, haven't been there since I was a little kid. Okay, let's see. What have we got? Looking forward to the rest of Newark and Sherwood, but will be sad when done. To be fair, I will as well, but I won't be leaving Nottinghamshire behind just yet, obviously, because I've still got Rushcliffe, I've still got Gedling, I've still got Broxtowe, Ashfield, and Mansfield as well. So, but they haven't got many in them. Mansfield's only got 1, Broxtowe's got 10, Gedling's got 12, and Rushcliffe's got 59. So it's not many, but it'd be good to get a county done, actually. I haven't actually finished a county yet. Have you ever considered doing interviews with key locals? What do you mean by key locals? Because, key locals will probably be people like parish councillors or
postmaster.
Yeah, post office. Yeah. Well, I have considered doing something like that, but the trouble is, it's kind of approaching people. It's if you don't know who they are and they don't know you, it can be a little bit sort of daunting to sort of break the ice, if you know what I mean. Nikki will talk to anybody, but I'm a bit more reluctant. So I have thought about it. Yes, Alice, that is in the wash. You're right, Kings Lynn. It's on the wash, not in the wash, obviously, because that's the water, but it's right on the wash. You're right, correct. So I used to know all the rivers around Norwich and Broad. I think you mean Broadland, not broadband there, Dave. But that's about it. There is a district called Broadland in Norfolk. There's 7 districts in Norfolk. That's one of them. Kings Lynn and West Norfolk is the one I'll be concentrating on when I go down there. Let's see. Used to deliver in Ollerton and Edwinstowe. Ollerton will be a bit later than Edwinstowe. That's on a different day. That's planned for July the 12th, that one. But I haven't really looked too much into that one yet, because obviously I've only planned up to June. I've planned a bit further than June, but it's just that everything up to June is fully planned. They've all got route plans. They've all got, I know how I'm going to go around them, basically, and what I'm going to do in each one. I've gone a bit further than that, sort of penciling stuff in. So I know for definite that Ollerton will be July the 12th. But, yeah. Let's see. I hate autocorrect on phones. Yeah, yes, me too. I don't use it. Key locals would be dog walkers. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, I suppose they would. Yeah. You know what? I see plenty of people with dogs. It's amazing how many people you see walking around with dogs. I don't know whether you heard that, but Nikki said confuse them by saying good morning to them.
The dog walkers do not expect that.
No, I guess they don't. You see, I've only ever had a handful of dogs in my time, and I didn't generally tend to walk them. So, which is kind of funny, really, considering the amount of walking I do. You'd have thought it would be right up my street, but unfortunately, it's not. But it's amazing how many dog walkers I do see. I guess they do. I guess they do class as being key locals. I suppose they know all the sort of paths and things around it. Sorry, Nikki said they always find a body, which is
True.
true. I suppose they. I guess so. That's how you confuse people in London by saying good morning. Never a truer word spoken. Never a truer word spoken. I'm so glad that this channel will only take me into London once. I'll be honest with you, because Londoners are. I won't say they're ignorant, but they are.
They're not.
They're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not exactly welcoming, are they?
They're not known for their
So.
hospitality.
How about allotment people? Well, I film the allotments for the fans, so I guess. Do you have anything planned for my hometown of Sheffield? Bradfield, I think, is what's left. That is literally the only thing left in Sheffield, Jamie. Not for Sheffield itself, because obviously it's a city and generally speaking, unparished area. But obviously, it's just over the border from where I live, so maybe there are sort of opportunities to go and do little videos out there. Mrs. TVI. I mean, Nikki has been saying for a while that Ward's End Cemetery. I don't know whether you know that, Jamie. Ward's End Cemetery is, it's not far from the Greyhound / Speedway Stadium in Hillsborough. A lot of people don't know it's there, to be honest with you. But Nikki has said before about going to that and filming something there. So let's see. Did I have a good Easter? Yes, I did. Thank you very much. I hope you did too. Didn't get an Easter egg, but then again, to be fair, at 39 years old, I'm probably a little bit too big for one. I do like my chocolate though, so if there's any offers. Okay. I haven't found a body yet, but I found out later I'd walked past the house as a murder was going off. That is scary, Alice. That is seriously scary. Blimey. That's amazing. Yeah. Don't know whether you heard that, but Nikki said avoid dog walking with Alice. Right, let's see. I once bumped into literally someone in Liverpool Street Station, and I apologised to him, and you'd have thought I'd have sworn at him with the look I got. Nikki used to work in Liverpool Street Station, so you can probably agree with that, can you not? This one. Here's Nikki. Hey, Nikki has joined us.
Excuse all the balloons. There's been a birthday in the house. We're saving them for the next one because we're tight.
Yeah, Lauren's
cost of living crisis and all that.
Lauren's birthday is April the 4th, and Victoria's is May the 12th. So obviously, there's not much between them.
So we're saving balloons.
And so
we say happy birthday.
Hannah, who is balloon mad, by the way, has decided that every event this year is going to get a set of balloons. There are currently a set of happy birthday balloons down there behind Nikki, and then in the kitchen there's
Happy Easter.
Yeah, I'll show you this one in a minute. In the kitchen, there's a row of balloons that say Happy Easter. Hannah got me this for my birthday, and it's been sat behind the laptop ever since March the 14th. So I'm not taking it down just yet. No need.
Yes, at Liverpool Street Station. Can absolutely agree with that there, Dave. I worked in, believe it or not, I actually worked in the McDonald's that's just outside the top concourse of Liverpool Street, and it was just awful. Not the working in the McDonald's, because it's a job and it is what it is, but navigating Liverpool Street Station, you'll get literally everybody in there.
I'm not familiar with it,
including policemen with big guns. I was actually working in Liverpool Street Station when the Bishopsgate bomb went off in 1993, I want to say. Could be 92, I could be wrong. I've had a sleep since then. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, good evening, everybody. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Vincent. Hi, everybody else that said hello.
Yeah, hello. Speaking of jobs, obviously you got a bit of a memory, didn't you, in the Lee episode?
Yeah, did you see the Lee? Did anybody watch the Lee?
In Buckinghamshire.
My village. I didn't grow up in a village. I grew up in a town, but the Lee was my village because it was the village where I spent some key years in my life, and if I hadn't have been there, I wouldn't have met my ex-husband, I wouldn't have had the kids, and I wouldn't have been back up here, and I wouldn't have met Andy. But yeah, the Lee was a key village, my village. I mean, I spent a long time, there working in the pub. Well, it's like a pub restaurant, but I ran the bar business mainly.
It looks a bit different now.
Yeah, I mean, it was quite definitely a trip down memory lane. I mean, walking around, to the church, and I went into and he said to me, he said, "Did you come to the church much?" Well, no. I was like 18, 19, early 20s, because I actually did 2 stints at the Lee when I was living there. And of course, when you're that age, you're bothered about having a drink, and you're going to go to cinema with, and what are you going to do on your day off? Where are you going to go shopping? Are you going to go to London? Because it's not that far from London. It's pure commutable.
It is.
And I haven't been there for nearly 30 years.
What amazed me about it, obviously, I've never been there before, and what amazed me about it is that Nikki was telling me on the drive up from Eaton, because we did the Lee after Eaton, that there are a lot of like narrow country lanes in Buckinghamshire, and I was thinking to myself, well, that's okay. I'm from Lincolnshire. I like narrow country lanes. I've grown up with them all my life.
You're not prepared.
There's a bit of a difference between the ones in Lincolnshire and the ones in Buckinghamshire. I can tell you for a fact.
And even in Lee Common, because the main walk, I don't know, thinking back to the video, those of you that have seen it, we started off in the Lee village itself around the green, and then we walked through into Lee Common. So we went to the shop, and then we went onto Oxford Street. And what you couldn't see was, or you didn't see so much on the videos, was that off Oxford Street there were some little streets, and when I say little, I mean little. You could barely get 1 car up them, never mind 2, and you got houses facing each other on these streets. They were tiny streets, but it was a massive trip down memory lane for me, and I revisited thoughts and memories and stuff that I hadn't visited in my own mind, in my own head, for such a long time. There was that pub was where I met my ex-husband. That pub was where I learned to live on my own. Not when I say on my own, I had rooms in the pub, but I had to live sort of independently of everybody. And doing that at sort of 18 years old is massive. And then, I got homesick. I went to the post box there to post. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have emails. We didn't even have text messaging, because it was before really, mobile phones and stuff. And I used to post letters home, and I'd be writing home 2 or 3 times a week. Because in a village like that, when all there was a shop, there was literally nothing to do. So you wrote home. Like I said in the video, my mind did play tricks on me, because I thought where the Jubilee Well was in Lee Common, I thought it was a gate. I thought it was a church lit gate.
Yeah.
I knew that there was something there that resembled one. My mind had told me that, but I thought it was, a well. A gate rather than a well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of stuff, and I really... I don't even know how to describe it. It was like I say, it was my village. And we all had Andy's with Saxelby and him growing up there. But for me, just spending a couple of key years there was a big thing.
It was.
Yeah,
and no, you're all right. It's fine. I think people like to hear you reminisce and things. I mean, for once, I felt like I wasn't the guy in control. Normally I'm on with the camera. I'm the one that films everything you see. But for once, it felt like Nikki was in control, and I was just basically following her and filming. What you said was interesting.
I kind of looked. We talked about the Lee before we even planned the mega trip. We talked about the Lee.
Yeah, but you weren't
about my time there. No, absolutely not. And I obviously Facebook is something that's come in since my time there. Like I said, I got my first mobile phone, the old Nokia brick, when I was actually working at the Cock and Rabbit. It was the place where my first passport was sent to in post. You know, there's all kinds of little memories there. And I found myself looking on Facebook and for people who I knew, and I knew that one or two had died, which I found, you know, it was quite, you know, it hit me here. It absolutely hit me here.
One of them was a window cleaner, wasn't it?
Yeah, one of them was a window cleaner, the local window cleaner, and I knew him very well. And he would come into the pub every night, and he'd always have the same drink, and he used to fetch a plastic bottle and with a screw top, so he could take a pint home, because he didn't want to drink and drive, so he didn't drink that much. And I was really sad to find out that he'd passed away a couple of years ago. So when I was in the graveyard, I was actually looking to see if he was there, but, you know, but he wasn't. But I did find out some other bits online about him. And because there were people who lived there who I knew who had moved away, like John Craven. John Craven from Newsround used to live in the Lee. And he's moved away, now lives in Oxfordshire. And of course, Geoffrey Palmer, the late Geoffrey Palmer, lived on Potter Row, not far from Piper's. And he was quite the guy. And if you guys were watching, can you remember the old lamb adverts that he voiced over, the Slamming the Lamb adverts back in sort of the early 90s?
I remember them.
He sounded exactly like that, just to talk to. And he was just, you know, such a nice guy. I could talk here for hours. I really could. And I'm hijacking your meeting.
No, you're all right. The question for you here, where were you born?
I was born in Rotherham. And I spent, you know, up until I was 17 living here. And then I lived in Essex for a year. I lived in Southwood and Ferrers, which is a new town, sort of between Chelmsford and Southend. And it was after I'd actually moved in with somebody in Southwood and Ferrers, and the relationship broke down, which is how I ended up at the Lee. And I worked in the Lee for near enough a year then. Then I worked in a pub in Beaconsfield for a little while, then moved back up to Rotherham, but then I moved back down to the Lee in my early 20s and did sort of another year, and then I met and married my husband. I was 22 when I first got married. So, yeah.
Okay.
I shut up now.
No, you don't. You know what? It helps. It helps fill the hour. Sometimes I do struggle a little bit to fill what's in this hour. However, there is one other thing I do want to talk about, and that is to do with sponsorship. Now, as you know, there's only a couple of sponsors currently on the channel, and when Newark and Sherwood ends, there will literally only be two, and they are both on the West Lindsey series. Now, Trevor Halstead at Gainsborough Cycles, bless his soul, he's offered to potentially sponsor the East Lindsey series as well. Not confirmed yet, but you know, one thing may lead to another, and you may be seeing the Gainsborough Cycles ad on all the East Lindsey videos as well. We'll see. That is just, literally, though.
Yeah, just quickly on the subject of sponsors, there's been no further issues from what we mentioned on the notice board a few weeks ago, so that's good. That, people are not approaching the sponsors with a problem.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I mean, Trevor dealt with the guy amicably, from what I understand. I mean, thank God it wasn't Jamie, because I mean, I know her from school. I know exactly what would have happened if it had been Jamie. Anyway, as we're saying, so Trevor has offered to sponsor the East Lindsey series as well, but it's not confirmed. Now, obviously, Jamie hasn't, which means that he would then be the only sponsor I've got going forward for any series I have. So kind of an open door with 28, nearly 30 people in here. If anybody wants to...
or knows anybody.
Anybody wants to or knows anybody that can, in any way, shape or form, wants to sponsor a series, a new series, or one that's already going, now is the time to sort of put the word out, because obviously with only Trevor's sort of input, I don't have anybody else at the moment. You can sponsor as little or as few videos as you want. You know, you don't have to sponsor an entire series, but if you do want to sponsor an entire series, that's entirely up to you. You know, there's no hard and fast rule that says you have
negotiable depending on the price and how much work to go into it. And that
pretty much so, yeah. I mean, obviously, you all know how it works from seeing the adverts on each episode. You know, I make a little short video that goes into the beginning of every episode, and it obviously promotes whatever you're trying to sell or whatever. So yeah, if you know of anybody who might be wanting to put their business out there, let them know. Let them know. Give them my contact details. You know, I'm sure you all know my various ways of contacting me by now. So yeah, if anybody would like to do that, that'd be very helpful. Very helpful.
So just a couple of comments. Nice hearing some memories. Thank you, Vincent. It was nice actually going there and experiencing them. Although after walking around Windsor and Eaton and then walking around the Lee, oh my God, we were knackered.
Yeah, we were after that.
Absolutely knackered.
That was a very tough thing. And then I had to drive to Letchworth afterwards to get to the hotel.
I was like, oh.
we were dead the next day. We really were.
Yeah.
That was when I put the short out that said I'm feeling it now.
Yeah.
But even so, we still managed to do the 4 on that day.
I wasn't very well the following day, but not because we got walking, but I just wasn't very well.
We got through it.
So Dave, the other place I've lived in apart from Rotherham is Wakefield. Yeah, I've lived in Rotherham. I lived briefly in Sheffield. I've lived in obviously Southwood and Ferrers and in Buckinghamshire in the Lee and in Chesham.
Southwood and Ferrers is in Essex, by the way.
Yeah, I did say that earlier.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Keep quiet, husbands.
Sometimes it's nice to see how how other communities live, and I certainly found for me when I was so young moving away, it was part of my movement from being a teenager into being an adult. So yeah. Okay, what else we got?
So Norman's asking, remind me how to donate to the channel. You've got a few ways, Norman.
Yep.
You can use the super thanks, which Jamie did earlier. You should
is that thing with the $sign at the bottom of the chat box.
Which I can't see, but
it's there.
Oh yeah, there. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't see it on my screen, but it's at the bottom of the chat box. You can use that. You can donate via PayPal. My email address, if you haven't got it, I can give you it.
Stick it in the description for this one.
I'll put it on here if you like. My email address is coming up in the chat box. 1 second.
And then there's also Ko-fi, which you can do a regular donation, or buy me a coffee, which you can do a one-off donation.
Yeah, which is you find that link in every single video description. It's always in there. It's right at the bottom of the video description. Every single one.
Put it in this one when you publish it as well. Won't
you? Well, I will do now that you've mentioned it. Yeah, so I don't normally on lives, but I will do.
Have you bought a bike from Trevor? Nope.
No.
Nope.
Not a cyclist myself, but obviously some of the places that Trevor's cycled actually surprised me. I mean, obviously he's based in West Lindsey, but he was commenting on the Neyburn episode and the Eaton episode in York because he'd cycled up there before along the old railway line.
Yeah, not a fan of cycling, but we do tend to pick out cycle paths and things and cycle routes and stuff like that. I remember doing that certainly up in places like Rickhall.
Yeah, that's the same
cycle route.
That's the same line. That's the very same cycle path. It's now runs straight into York and a bit beyond actually.
Yeah.
While I'm on the subject of Neyburn, people have stopped talking about Neyburn locks now. I will just reiterate the point which I made in that post. If it's private and it says it's private, I ain't gonna walk down it unless I know I can.
It has to be permission visit.
It really got me a little bit annoyed. If there's anybody in from York tonight, and they've seen that episode, or if you've just seen the Neyburn episode in general, you already know what I'm talking about. The road down to Neyburn Locks is apparently you can walk down there, but it's not very well advertised, as Alice said in a comment. It's got 2 signs on it that say private. There's one on the gate itself between the road and the actual entrance, and there's one a bit further down past the caravan park. And obviously I saw the first one and thought, okay. Drove towards the other gate where the entrance to the caravan park is, and there's another one saying private. So I'm thinking to myself, well, I can't go down there. I can't. I legally cannot do it unless I want to break some kind of trespassing law or whatever. So I thought, well, never mind. The locks are important, but I have special sections to sort this kind of stuff out. So I just went straight into the village, which is fair enough. Now, apparently, even though those signs exist, you can walk. But if you look on footpath map, you will not find it as a designated public right of way. It's not marked as one, and because of that, my hands are tied. I can't walk down there, no matter what I do.
And it's part of the channel ethos anyway, which is film within the boundary of the law. And if it's private land, it either needs permission or to be designated. There needs to be a designated public right of way through it, or it needs a permission, doesn't it? And it's not something that would deviate from, because the last thing Andy would want to do is to put a video out.
Yeah.
It have footage from somewhere which is private land.
Yeah.
And then somebody objects to it, and then the next thing you know, the video has been reported, or there's a strike on the channel already, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Not what we want, because we can still fill in that area and create a video with maximum enjoyment. It's just that you're not physically going and doing the filming yourself.
Yeah, pretty much so, yeah. It was kind of similar. If you saw the Toff Newton episode a couple of weeks ago in West Lindsey, the second church, I mean, I didn't know that wasn't an actual active church at the time. So I walked down Church Lane to go and find it. But second I ventured onto the churchyard, someone saw me and was like, well, that's not a church anymore. Well, I didn't know that. They were quite happy, they weren't having a go at me or anything like that. But I decided, okay, anything that I've just taken around the grave bits.
Marcus.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I couldn't say it. Sorry, stutter and all that. I'll just not. I know. I'll just not use that, and I'll just take some more shots from the little lane, and that's all I did. And no one said anything about it. So, I've got to kind of keep within the law, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
Having said that, the Bealsby episode tomorrow, I technically speaking do trespass a little bit, but you'll see why. It was for a good reason, a very good reason. You'll see why tomorrow.
So just going through a couple more comments, Dave. I was 18 when I moved to Wakefield, yeah. So you know that one feels then, Dave, yeah. Vincent, last year cycled to Roach Abbey from the village, 7-mile round trip, most enjoyable, but felt it for a few days.
We like Roach Abbey.
Yeah. Will you be doing Sandringham?
Not on this trip, no. I mean, it may have happened if Nikki would have been with me. But now that's not happening. I'm not going to be going to Sandringham. I will, of course, pass it, because I've got to pass it to get to Hunstanton from King's Lynn. So I may stop and might do a little Tales from the Village Green, potentially. We'll see.
You've been farting on the parish notice board.
What?
So on the last parish notice board, it sounded like a fart, and before something said.
Oh, it was the sound of my camera. It was on its little mount. I was turning it down like this so it could see me a bit clearer.
Don't tell us anything.
Go rewatch it. You'll see.
I think there's a Sheringham in Norfolk.
There is.
Yeah.
There is a Sheringham in Norfolk.
That's because Dave confuses Sheringham and Sandringham.
Talking about places where we've lived, my mum is looking forward to you doing Tockwith. Tockwith's not York, it's Harrogate, actually. Yeah, it's Harrogate. But
that's not a fart, that's my leg on the chair.
Yeah. Now you're doing it. No, Tockwith is Harrogate, but I will be doing that at some point, because Harrogate should be coming after York's finished. So it'll be one of the first ones, because it's not far away from York. It's kind of between York and sort of Leeds-ish. So I will be doing it soon.
Well, this private land business is very confusing. There's private land around Langford Lake, but it's not signposted. You only know if you're local to the area, even then it's word of mouth. This is the problem. Sometimes there's not a clear signposting or anything like that, and occasionally, if filming is done in that sort of area, then it's a genuine mistake and more fool really on the landowner if they're not being clear that it's private land. And
you'd be amazed how many footpaths are not clearly signposted.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. I mean, waymarkers, I know they get weathered and sometimes they fall off because, general nature of where they are and all that. But they're not well maintained. Some of them are not well maintained. And because of that, you sometimes get lost. I mean,
come on, let's be right though. Even some public footpaths that a local authority maintained can be absolutely shocking.
Well, true. There is that. There is that. Any more Staffordshire